Namaskar everyone and welcome to day 5 of the Nurmasa Satsang. Lakshmeenatha Samarambham Nathayamuna Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Yo Nityamachyuta Padambuja Yugma Rugma Vyamohatastaditarani Trinaya Mene Asmadguror Bhagavatosya Dayaika Sindhoho Ramanujasya Charanau Sharanam Prapadye आपदामपहर्तारं दातारं सर्वसम्पदां लोकाभिरामं श्रीरामं भूयो भूयो नमाम्यहम् यत्र यत्र रघुनाथकीर्तनं तत्र तत्र कृतमस्तकाञ्जलिं बाष्पवारी परिपूर्णलोचनं मारुतिं नमत राक्षसान्तकम् पूजन्तं राम रामेति मधुरं मधुराक्षरम् आरुह्य कविताशाखां वन्दे वाल्मीकिकोकिलम् वेदवेद्ये परे पुंसि जाते दशरथात्मजे प्राचेतसादासीत् साक्षात् रामायणात्मना. So with prayers at the lotus feet of Acharya and Lord Sri Rama, let us take up our topic for today. So in yesterday's satsang, we had talked about how the sons of Dasharatha were named as Rama, Bharata, Lakshmana and Shatrughna. Now we move on to the next event that happens. Now, in the Balakanda of the Ramayana, Valmiki Rishi has described how these kids, after they were named, how they grew up, and then they went to the Gurukula of Vasishta Rishi, and they did Vidyabhyasa there. They got all their education that every prince should get. They obtained all that knowledge from Vasishta Rishi, and they were gradually growing up. Now, he describes how even during that childhood, during those times itself, it was always seen that Lakshmana would always attach himself to Rama and Shatrughna would attach himself very much to Bharata. They would always be with each other and partake of each other's joys and sorrows equally. Of course, we should not say sorrows because Lord Rama's time there was no sorrow. But whatever, they would be together all the time. Now, the next event that happens is now the princes have all turned 12 years of age. And at that time, Raja Dasharatha starts contemplating and he starts having discussions with his ministers, with his Acharya Vasishta, and all other great people about how they can go about crowning Rama as the heir to the throne, crowning him the next king. So he's been having all his education, and along with that, now they say that we should start looking out for some matrimonial alliance. We should get these children married, and then we will crown Rama as the king. So, as these discussions start happening about what should be the next course of action, there is the arrival of the famous Rishi Vishwamitra, who is also known sometimes as Kaushika Rishi. So, what happens is when Vishwamitra arrives, then Dasharatha is very happy because he considers it as great fortune to have that great Rishi visit his kingdom. So he rushes to the door. He offers him padyam. He offers holy water. He washes the feet of the Rishi. He brings him in with all due ceremony and seats him on a good throne. And then he offers food and everything, good hospitality to the Rishi. And then the Rishi inquires from him, how are things in your kingdom? What all is going on and all that. After answering all that, Dasharath Raja is so happy that this great Rishi has come to his court, and therefore, very happily, he says to Vishwamitra that, "Oh Vishwamitra, I'm so happy, O Rishi, that you have come. And what is it that brings you here? You ask me whatever you want, and I promise you that I will give it to you. I will make sure that your desire is fulfilled." Like that, he gives his word. Now, Vishwamitra starts talking and he explains. He says, I am in the process of doing some yajnas. However, every time when I start, there are two Rakshasas, Maricha and Subahu. And these two Rakshasas, along with their mother Tataka, they are tormenting us when we do these yajnas. They bring and throw meat and blood and all mutilated animal parts into our yajna kunda. And therefore, we are not able to complete our yajna successfully. They are causing a lot of obstacles in the performance of these ceremonies. So I want that you should send with me your son Rama, who has the ability to kill these Rakshasas and to prevent their whatever damage they are doing to my yajna. Now, the minute he hears this, Dashratha is shocked. He says, "How can I send? Rama is just a child. He's not even 16 years old. He's just 12 years old. And he doesn't have any great ability to fight these Rakshasas. And from what you are describing, these are very great Rakshasas. So how Rama will be able to fight? I cannot send Rama with you," he says. He offers that I will come with you. I will bring my great Sainya and I will come with you and we will fight against the Rakshasas, but I cannot send Rama with you. He's shocked at the thought of having to send his child with Vishwamitra Rishi for such a, ghor, great fight like that with Rakshasas. Hearing this answer of Dasharatha, Vishwamitra is angry to the core. And he says, you gave me your word and now you're going back on it? Okay, fine. Then you stay nicely with all your people. And he starts walking away. At that moment, Vasishta Guru, who knows what is in the heart of Vishwamitra, he comes there and he tells Raja Dashratha that whatever Vishwamitra Rishi is telling, it is for the good of your children only. Don't doubt his understanding. He knows what he is talking about. You send Rama with him. So definitely it will benefit Rama if he goes with Vishwamitra. And the minute Vasishta says this, with full respect for his Acharya, Dasharatha Raja relents. And he says, okay, I will, okay, he accepts to Vishwamitra Rishi. He says, please don't be angry. You can take my son with you and go. And as soon as this is done, then the news is conveyed to the mothers, and Kausalya comes there. First, she blesses Rama, then Dasharath Raja himself blesses Rama, and Rama starts to leave. Now, we know who was Rama's shadow always? Lakshmana. The minute Rama stands up and starts to leave, Lakshmana also follows him without another thought. So it's automatic, as if Rama is going, then Lakshmana has to go also, right? And that is the event. They go, then Vishwamitra takes them. And what happens later, we will talk in the next class, but in the next session. But for today, let us try to understand some of the deeper meanings of these stories, some of the shlokas which are told, and what exactly our acharyas have told about this. So this was the story of how Vishwamitra came and asked for Rama, how Dasharatha first refused to send him, but then later he relented and sent his sons with Vishwamitra Rishi. So when Valmiki describes that, Vishwamitra is asking for Rama to be sent with him to kill the Rakshasas, there is this very famous shloka. So Vishwamitra Rishi says to Dasharatha, he says, Aham Vedmi Mahatmanam Ramam Satya Parakramam Vasishtopi Mahateja Ye Cheme Tapasi Sthitaha. So he says, Aham Vedmi, I know, I am sensible about, I have full knowledge that this Rama, this Mahatma Rama, he says there. And actually, Dashratha should have caught that reference and wondered why Vishwamitra is saying this Mahatma. But anyway, he lets it slip because he's so totally shocked by the content of what Vishwamitra is saying. So Vishwamitra is saying, I am aware, I am in full knowledge that this Rama, he is Satya Parakrama. His valor itself is his truthfulness. And this great, and if you don't believe me, O Dasharatha, ask this Vasishta and all the other saints who are here. Even Vasishta, he says, Vasishtopi, Vasishta api, like that. So even Vasishta knows about this. So what is the meaning? What is the deeper meaning of this sentence that Vishwamitra is saying? When he says, Aham Vedmi, right? So he says, I am in full knowledge of the valor, the parakrama of this Rama. How does Vishwamitra know? Because he is the Brahmarshi of the highest stature, and he is aware that that Supreme Lord, who is described in all the Vedas, whom the Purusha Sukta describes in such detail, that Paramatma has taken avatara in the form of Lord Rama. So he knows that. That is why he is saying, Aham Vedmi. He's trying to tell Dasharatha that, Oh Dasharatha, you don't know. You are only thinking of Rama as your son. But I know exactly who he is. And here, there is this great Vaishnava Acharya called Periyavachan Pillai who gives a commentary about Why is it that Vishwamitra can say with such confidence, Aham Vedmi? Who knows better, the father or this rishi who has just come today and seeing Rama for the first time? So here he explains this Dasharath Raja. It's as if, Vishwamitra Rishi is saying to Dasharath Raja that, O Raja, you are having only a bow and arrow in your hands. You are a Kshatriya. You don't know the reality of your son. But I am a Brahmana. I am holding the Darbha grass in my hands. I am a Rishi, and that is why I know the true nature of Rama. Dasharath Raja, you are sitting on the throne and you are only used to ruling over other people. But I, who sit at the feet of the Lord and meditate upon him, I know the real nature of Rama. O Dasharath Raja, you are focused on Artha and Kama, whereas being a Rishi, I am focused on Dharma and Moksha, and therefore I know Rama. You think that Rama is born from you. You think that Rama was your Garbha. But I know that Rama is holding everything within him. He is the source from which this entire world is born. So you only think now, what is the knowledge of Dasharatha and what is the stature of Vishwamitra? So who is it that knows? And isn't Vishwamitra Rishi truly justified when he says, Aham Vedmi? So this is what our acharyas explain here. Then next, now when Vishwamitra asks for sending Rama with him, immediately Dasharatha refuses. And what does he say when he's saying that, when he's refusing to send Rama? He says, Una Shodasha Varsho Me Ramo Rajiva Lochanaha Na Yuddha Yogyatamasya Pashyami Saha Rakshasaihi. Less than Shodasha Varsha, less than 16 years of age, is my Rama. He says, Me Ramo, my Rama. And he's saying this lotus-eyed Rama. He's saying Rajiva Lochana. And he says, I cannot see. To me, it does not appear that he has any aptitude, any capability to fight with these Rakshasas. Now, here our acharyas explain that why is Dasharatha stressing this fact that Rama is less than 16 years of age? Because in those times, it was considered that once a boy is 16 years of age, then he is fit to do battle in any yuddha. Till the child is below 16 years of age, he is not sent out to engage in any yuddha because it is considered that he has not been fully trained yet. There is still a lot of learning for him. So here, immediately Dasharatha, now at this point of time, Rama was just 12 years old. Now, Dasharatha is not bothered whether he's 12, he's 13 and like that. But he's saying that he is less than 16. Why? Because he's trying to convince Vishwamitra Rishi that, see, my son, my Rama is less than 16 years old. How can you take him to fight, that too to fight against these mighty Rakshasas? How can you take him? He's trying to convey that. The other thing that very beautifully our acharyas explain, why is he using this word Rajiva Lochana? Vishwamitra has come to take him. He has come to take him to fight against the Rakshasas. Now, Dasharatha could just have said he's too young and left it at that. Why this word Rajiva Lochana? We know this word Rajiva Lochana means one who has the eyes like a lotus. Correct? Rajiva means lotus. So, why is Dasharatha here saying Rajiva Lochana? Here, our Sri Vaishnava Acharyas give a beautiful explanation for this. We know the quality of a lotus, isn't it? It is that the lotus blooms with the sun and the lotus closes or it completely gets, it closes up in the evening time when the sun has set. So, why is Dasharatha telling like this? He's saying, my Rama's eyes are like the lotus flower. So, what he's trying to say is that just like the lotus flower closes at sunset, so also my Rama's eyes will close at sunset. He is still small. So, like that lotus which closes at sunset, his eyes will close and he will go to sleep in the evening as soon as the sun sets. Now, you are telling that you want him to fight against the Rakshasas. Now, we know that these Rakshasas are called as Rajnichara. Rajnichara means those who are very active at night. So, you want my son, he is Rajiva Lochana. His eyes are going to close at sunset. How will he be able to remain awake and fight against these Rakshasas who are going to come and attack in the night? That is what Dashratha is trying to convey. So, these are the aspects that our acharyas explain here. Now we know once Dashratha says this, Vishwamitra gets angry with him, but then Vasishta advises Dashratha that send your kids, send your sons with Vishwamitra. It will only, whatever he is doing, he has a divine purpose in that. And by going with him, your sons will only benefit and they will get a lot of glory by going with him. And then Dasharatha relents. And when Valmiki explains that how Dasharatha is agreeing to send Rama, in that shloka, Valmiki says, Dadau, he gave Rama. Now, this usage of this word indicates that as if it is an object he gave. He doesn't say that Dasharatha sent Rama with Vishwamitra. He says Dasharatha gave Rama to Vishwamitra. So this is a very major change which has come about. When we looked at this shloka, we said that he is me Rama. Dasharatha told he is me Rama, he is my Rama. So there was that strong sense of attachment and unwillingness to give up. But now here he cuts off his emotion, and just as one would give an object to someone, he gives his son Rama to Vishwamitra. And as we said, when Rama got up and started walking, not just Rama, Lakshmana also went ahead with Rishi Vishwamitra. So these are some of the aspects that we have talked about today in this story. Now, what are the things that we can learn from this? First, we saw how Dasharatha first promised to give whatever Vishwamitra wanted. And then there was a situation where it was shocking to him to hear the demand, and then he was not willing to agree, to keep his word. And that is when Vishwamitra got angry. He said, You promised me, and people of your Raghuvamsha are famous for always keeping their word. But you are now trying to go back on it. So this shows us now Dashratha's Vamsha was famous for keeping their word, right? They say, I think, no? Raghukula Reet Sada Chali Aayi, Pran Jaye Par Vachan Na Jaye. So they are ready to part with their life, but they will never go back on their word, on the promise that they have given. So it is from this we can understand that once we give our word, once we make a commitment to something, we must follow through on that. In this world, unfortunately, many times what happens is that for things which are really correct and good and going to be good for us, they may not always be pleasant. So sometimes we may give our word and we make a commitment, but then there are always excuses that we make and we try to go back on that. But we must remember that it is important to keep our word. And if we don't keep the commitment that we have made, then we are actually displeasing the Lord. So we must make whatever commitments we make, especially in the field of our Adhyatmic sadhana, we must keep those commitments. Second thing we can learn, this Dasharatha, he was so happy at seeing Vishwamitra Rishi that he said, I will give you whatever you ask for. So from that also we can learn something. Sometimes we may not be in a position to do what we promise to do. So we must be very careful when we are making any kind of promises, especially if we are in a very happy state of mind and in an excited state of mind. We may promise something which later we don't feel like following through. This appears to be like the track record of Dasharath Raja, isn't it? We will see how later in the story also this same thing that he had given boons to his wife Kaikeyi will come back to haunt him, right? So we must make sure that when we are giving an assurance to somebody, we must not do it impulsively. We must have a proper thought process and consider whether really we are able to follow that or not, and then only promise things to people. And once we promise it, we must keep our word and do that what we have promised. The third thing we can understand is that from whatever Vishwamitra told him, that where we told that about the comparison that he made, that what are the qualities of Dasharatha and what are the qualities of Vishwamitra. So in any society, it is good to have a combination of both qualities. There must be Brahma Tejas and there must also be Kshatriya Tejas. The Kshatriya Tejas is required. The Kshatriya spirit is important to protect the people of that country, to protect people in that society, and to make sure there are no wrongdoings. But if there is only such control of people, then there are times when that power may get misused. So it is important for whoever is the ruler to take the advice of the brahmanas, of the learned people, of the great jnanis, so that they have the ability to guide and advise the raja. So both, the combination of both these is important for a good society. Then we saw how Dashratha was not willing to send Rama, but then the minute Vasishta told him, his guru told him, he agreed immediately. So that shows us, that teaches us that we should always be willing to, unfailingly, without another thought, we should obey whatever agnya is given to us by elders or by the guru. That will help us to proceed further very quickly. We may not be able to understand the meaning of what they are telling. We have limited knowledge, but they are able to see far into the future. So, whatever is the agnya of our guru, of our acharyas, of our elders, we must have trust in that and we should be willing to obey that. And then, like Lakshmana went with Rama, Rama did not ask him to come along, but Lakshmana automatically got up and went with Rama. So, we must be prepared to serve without having to be asked. Whatever be the situation in which we find ourselves, our bhava should be, how can I serve? How can I serve? What service can I render in this situation? And with that bhava, we must do whatever we can, whatever is possible for us to do. So these are some of the things we have discussed today. We will move ahead in the tomorrow's satsang to the next thing of what all Vishwamitra Rishi teaches to these children as he takes them with him. And we will see that in tomorrow's class. For now, let us offer Kritagnyata. Let us offer gratitude at the lotus feet of Sri Rama and Guru for inspiring us to start and join this satsang. And let us pray that their blessings and grace are on us. Now, one of my cousins very humbly suggested and very aptly suggested that we should end the satsang with some shlokas. So I happened to found this Sri Rama Mangalam, which is actually a very big composition. But anyway, I have selected a few verses out of that, and I will chant these. If you know them, you can also chant along. Mangalam Kosalendraya Mahaniya Gunabdhaye Chakravarti Tanujaya Sarvabhaumaya Mangalam Veda Vedanta Vedyaya Meghashyamalamurtaye Pumsam Mohana Rupaya Punyashlokaya Mangalam Pitrabhaktaya Satatam Bhratrabhis Sahasitaya Nanditakhila Lokaya Ramabhadraya Mangalam Srimate Raghuviraya सेतुलङ्घितसिन्धवे जितराक्षसराजाय रणधीराय मङ्गलम् मङ्गलाशासनपरैर्मदाचार्यपुरोगमैः सर्वैश्च पूर्वैराचार्यैः सत्कृतायास्तु मङ्गलम्. Thank you, and we will meet again tomorrow. Namaskar.